Drake, Maid of Honour, album review. Let's talk about it. How y'all doing? Welcome to Let's Talk About It, Music Reviews Season 12. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. We got a pretty good episode for you today. It is finally time. We are on the second album of 3 albums that dropped by Drake. And, this is the second one. Now, look, we'll recap, if you haven't checked out the Iceman album review. But I will say, out of these albums, Iceman is probably going to be my favorite album, just how it sounds, all the different beat switches, all that different stuff that I definitely do like. I'd say Iceman is probably my favorite project out of all of these, but we will get into the third album next week. But this one is Maid of Honour. This is kind of the more dance, kind of R&B, kind of, album. I'd say it's more kind of dance, more kind of pop, which, is not a bad thing at all. I think when you can do these elements good and actually, put it together, you're going to have a good-ass time listening to this type of music. Now, it does remind me of, when Drake dropped that other dance album, the Honestly Nevermind. But, that was so boring, so annoying to listen to that I just honestly did not ever have a good time listening to that album. So we got Maid of Honour, we got 14 songs, and it's a pretty chunk album, I'm not going to lie, it's 30 minutes long. Let's get into this album, let's fucking talk about it, I've been trying to save my thoughts for this project, how I'm feeling about it, till now. Before we get into that though, before I get into the album review, I do want to go over my quick format. If you're new here, if you haven't heard an album review on this show from me, we're going to go over 3 overall points of how I feel about the album. And then we're also going to go over every single track off the album and rate it 1 out of 5. Then we'll come back and I'll give you my overall thoughts and I'll give you my final score 1 out of 10 at the very end. So let's get into it. Starting off with my first point, the production off this album, I will say, is pretty fun. This is some fun-ass production. I think the use of samples on here is really good. It is, of course, that kind of dance, EDM, house kind of style. So the drum loops are going to sound the same. There is some songs where, the drums don't sound the same as the other tracks, which I do like. But I will say, overall, the production of the drums, the different use of the synths, the samples, I'd say overall, the production off this album was actually pretty fucking good. I have no real complaints here. I mean, it's not like Iceman, it's not a bunch of different beat switches. There is a lot of talking on here. I think that's also a thing that I don't like is, there's a lot of beginning, intro talking to the songs, which I don't really enjoy. I don't even care if it's a sample. I just don't really enjoy that, in my opinion. Can we get to the song? Can we get to the, the instrumental? But I'd say overall, I really had a good time listening to this album, and I think the production off this album is definitely a good-ass time. And that's what I can kind of say. The production is fun, and I think with a Drake album, going from Iceman, yeah, that has some fun tracks on it, but this is Drake, putting out an album that's just full of fun, which is pretty cool. Now, second point, features. Okay. This is where I'm not having a good-ass time. I think besides Central C, yeah, which one? Central C was probably the only good feature off this whole entire album. Everybody else sucked ass. There's some Afro, Nigerian artists on here that just ruined the vibe completely. Just gonna be honest with you, that shit sounds ass. I was hoping Drake would come back because who the fuck is this? He's not flowing right, he's not sounding good on this song at all. Did not have a good time. The only good feature on here was Central C. Sexy Red's feature was just laughable at best. It was not fucking good. Third point, let's go over the performance of Drake. I'd say the beginning is very strong. Flows are really good. I'd say the vocals, the melodic singing, and all that stuff is actually really good in the beginning. Once we get starting to the end of the album, once we get to Q&A, and at that last little run, Princess, which that song just sounds horrible, that grungy, indie guitar sound, it doesn't sound that good. But I'd say the beginning, Drake had a really strong start. So Drake in the beginning, melodic vocals, he's flowing, he's sounding his absolute best. This is probably the best that I've heard from Drake in quite a fucking while. it does slow down at the very end of the album. Now, let's go over every single track off the album. We got 14 songs to go over. Let's get into it. We're going to rate these tracks 1 out of 5. Starting off with the beginning track, we got Ho Phase. Ho Phase is definitely a alright intro track. I love the beat. I do love the hook. I think the hook easily gets stuck in your head. This song does kind of, get into the sample territory of just putting the sample, playing the beat, and just kind of calling it a fucking day. But for an intro track, I'd say it's pretty fucking good. I'd say overall, I'd easily give it, probably just a good old fucking 4 out of 5. Road trips, it's okay. I mean, I think I gave it a 7 out of 10 when I reviewed the song, when it first came out. But a track off this album, it's okay. 3 out of 5. Outside Tweaking. I love the feature on here. I think this is one of the better features off this album. I think the Outside Tweaking easily gets stuck in your head. This one's really good too. 5 out of 5. Cheetah Print. If Sexy Red wasn't on this song, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. But Sexy Red is sadly on this song, and she completely ruins the vibe. I'm sorry. This shit sounds fucking ass. So, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Which One, featuring Central C. Which One, I do like this one, because I think the hook is really good. That beat switch sounds really fucking nice, too. 5 out of 5. Amazing Shape. Amazing Shape is okay. I like the beat. Once again, it's just these, weird fucking features that just had no value to the fucking music. So, 2 out of 5. BBW. BBW, I'd say, is pretty fucking good. It gets stuck in your head. It has a nice, hook. I really like the beat. The True Bestie. Look, I would just be real with you. This one just kind of, loops and loops and loops with the same sample. It doesn't sound good. We got New Bestie. New Bestie 2 is one of those tracks where it kind of just loops and loops and loops. It's okay. I like the beat. I like the drums, but that's kind of it. 2 out of 5. Q&A. Q&A is such a slow-ass track. I mean, goddamn. I mean, I know this man's got questions, but holy fuck. The hook is slow. I don't like the sound of it. Jesus. 1 out of 5. Stuck. This is probably my favorite track off the album. It kind of reminds me, if y'all ever listen to, Babyface, or, you listen to, some older R&B. The way the EQ is, the way they kind of, I love the EQ of this sound. I like how the beat's there, but it's kind of not there. And you really do feel like you're stuck on a highway. It's a really cool sound. This song is really good. My favorite track off this album. 5 out of 5. Goose in the Juice. Again, another very slow, long, monotonous, Drake, mumble fucking singing. It doesn't sound that good. 1 out of 5. And then Princess. I'd say the hook is good, but the instrumental is so plainly boring that I'm just not having a good time with it. So that one's going to be a 3 out of 5. So overall, when we talk about, Drake, Maid of Honour, this is a pretty fun album. I love the beats. I love the different sounds, the synths. It does slow down as you get into the album, but I'd say, going from track 1 to at least 10, you're having a good-ass time. I mean, even with the shitty-ass Sexy Red feature, Drake's in the song mostly. So you're having a good time with that stuff. So overall, I would give this album, I give it I don't know. I'd probably give it just an easy 6 out of 10. It's not that good. It's not like Iceman where I'm like, holy shit, this album's really fucking good. It's nothing like that. It's kind of, okay at best, but for a few good old dance tracks, it sounds pretty good. So, 6 out of 10. What'd y'all think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I don't know. Let me know. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. We're dropping new content every single day. And I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Yeah, guys. Bye.